Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tipoff 2024-2025. Ron Poniwaz, Larry Kelly, we are your Tipoff team. Larry Kelly, a member of the Luxembourg Arbit Kelly and George, are our sponsors. And he's also an assistant baseball coach for Penn State Shenango, a varsity assistant basketball coach at Newcastle, former varsity baseball coach at Shenango. He likes to be in plays as well, and whoever knows what else he likes to do.
Well, listen, I'm glad you brought up the fact that I'm a thespian, and I had yet another credit at the Newcastle Playhouse. That would be my fourth. We had a tremendous run with Annie. The talent was present company excluded. The talent was unbelievable. The shows were fabulous, and we pretty much performed to a full house for 2 weeks. Wonderful.
All right. Is that all the performances? Are they all done now?
Well, I'm done for for my Playhouse performances. Yeah, I could be done forever. There's not many roles left for a guy that's my age.
All right. So we have a couple of segments for everybody here. We're going to tell you about a basketball player that had two really nice performances last week. And then we'll do our talking points segment. And included in that talking points is Larry will talk about the Newcastle High boys basketball team, and it's in the Red Hurricane Minute. But first, we have Athlete of the Week, and it is Wilmington's Freddie Zehetner, a junior guard. Last week, Freddie had 28 points and a 59-56 win over Commodore Perry. Backed that up with 24 points and a 53-36 win over Maplewood, as Wilmington is now 3-0 on the season.
As we were talking before we went on the air, to score 28 points in a 3-point game is impressive to me. It's one thing to maybe get 28 points in a blowout, but when you can get 28 in a one possession game, you're playing, and all those points count, and probably all of them were well contested. So, quite a week for the young man. Averaging 26 points is pretty significant in a high school basketball game. And as I said, that 28 came against Commodore Perry in a 3-point win.
Yeah, and he's a football player also. So for him to come in after a football season that went pretty long, as they won the District 10 title and played at least one state playoff game, I believe that's when they got eliminated, was in the state playoff opener, to have his legs under him, and play very well right off the get-go, says good things for Nick Marmo's team.
Yeah, absolutely. Nicky's now the head coach at Wilmington in the boys' side.
Yeah, this is his at least second, maybe third year. At least.
Yeah, because I know Nick had a run at Mohawk, and Nick's been coaching a long time. He was a tremendous athlete himself. Went to Penn State, was a 5-star recruit, so he knows all about winning and what it takes to be a winner. So congratulations to Wilmington, Nick, and especially Freddie Zehetner. That's a great week. 26-point average. That was, and again, to do it in a one possession game is really impressive.
Right. Okay, so Freddie Zehetner is our athlete of the week for this week as Wilmington moves to 3-0. In our talking points segment, we will expand a little bit more on Wilmington's boys basketball team. So we'll save that part of Wilmington for there. And then coming up next is our talking points, and Larry Kelly will tell you all about the Newcastle High boys basketball team in a segment we call the Red Hurricane Minute, and we'll do that next right here on Tipoff.
We all know there's an advantage to being the home team, to playing at home. And at LGKG, we have been your home team for personal injury cases involving automobile accidents and workers' compensation claims for over 90 years. At LGKG, over 10,000 clients have trusted us to represent them. We know how to present your case to a Western Pennsylvania jury. We know what makes them tick. We know how to win.
We're back with you here on Tip-Off as Mr. Kelly has a bunch of notes scribbled out. He's got everything jotted down that he wants to tell you all about for the Newcastle boys basketball team. Larry, show's yours.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're 5-0, and we've had balanced scoring. primarily from our three top scorers, Ralph Bellendo, Kai Cox, Damian Harrison, with Kyrell Harris chipping in, running the point, and doing a lot of things really well. However, the one thing that concerns me, and I was talking to Coach Bellendo today, is that this is like the second game, I believe, that even though we won the game and won it handily, the foul line double what we did. Like in the last game, I believe North Hills went to the foul. They shot 18 foul shots. We shot 9. And getting to the foul line is an indicator of how you're doing offensively and defensively. It's a good analytic to tell you a little bit about your team, because when you're running good offense, you get the ball in the paint. And when you get the ball in the paint, you shoot a lot of foul shots. When you're playing poor defense, you allow a lot of paint touches. And as a result of that, you accumulate a lot of fouls. So, that's the one thing that concerns me here. In a close game, you cannot put the other team on the line 2 times more than you. In a close game, if they're shooting 18 foul shots and you're shooting 9, the outcome may not be what you want. And if you look at the box scores, and I look at them every week, with the exception of Newcastle, there was only one other team, and I believe it was Elwood City, in a blowout. And in a blowout game, it's a little different, who won the game even though their opponent went to the foul line more than them. In every other game, the team that went to the foul line more often, shot more foul shots, was the winner of the game. So, you can't give up paint touches, because when you do, bad things happen. And when you're running good offense, you get the ball in the paint, Ronnie. We used to say, as the 10 commandments of Larry Kelly basketball, 4, keep them out of the paint and they won't score. It just concerns me. We're giving up a lot of paint touches. And Ralph brought up one other thing. We gave up 7 offensive rebounds in the second half to North Hills. And again, you can't give them second opportunities. Our success at Newcastle has always been based on the fact that we get more possessions than them. Why? We turn them over more, which gives us extra possessions. We get more offensive rebounds, which gives us extra possessions. So, we're winning. Our scoring, I believe, has been balanced. You can't key just on one person. And, we're playing, I like to think, good defense, because, we're back to who we were. Last year, we didn't press a lot of teams. That's not who we are. We played 94 feet. We make teams play faster than they're comfortable in playing. That's what's led to our success ever since I've been at Newcastle, and I started with Ralph in 2010. When you make a team, it's like tempo. When you make them play faster, then they're comfortable. And that's what happens when you pick them up 94 feet and press them. You might not make a steal, but you're going to make them play faster than what they're comfortable in playing. And that's always been one of the keys to our success. We'll have a tough battle tomorrow. Woodland Hills, very athletic, very athletic. Got an all-state football player, a fabulous 22 football player who is kind of their stud and kind of runs the show for them. And got another guy, I guess their point guard is the real deal. So road game, section game, good team. It'll be a good test for us.
All right. Is Newcastle living offensively on the perimeter? A lot of times that is an indication of not going to the foul line too often.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The answer to that question is yes. And we shoot a lot of threes, and we're very good at it. We got guys that can shoot it. But when you're running good offense, Ronnie, you get paint touches. And when you get paint touches, you go to the line. And I guess if we're not doing anything real well, we're not executing offensively. And again, that's been one of our keys. Our execution has always been better than our opponents, both offensively and defensively. Aliquippa has always had the same kind of athletes that we've had, and Beaver Falls has, but they don't execute. They don't execute like we execute. And as a result, we shot a lot of layups against those teams. And I think if you were to ask Coach Bellendo, he would tell you the execution isn't where he wants it to be, both offensively and defensively. We're winning, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to win every game by 20 points. And, when you get in with a team that's well coached and they have players too, execution is oftentimes what dictates who wins the game and who doesn't.
Okay, I will read the results for the Newcastle boys basketball team. I will do this week because there's a tame amount of games, just 5. It's not going to take too long. There's 2 takeaways from this, at least from my end. Newcastle 70-42 over Nazareth Prep, 84-52 over Warren John F. Kennedy, 63-43 over South Allegheny, 65-17 over Beaver Falls, and 70-59 over North Hills. Takeaway number 1 is, I know you were referring to individuals when you said the scoring is balanced, but in addition to that, game by game, team total 70, 84, 63, 65, 70. You're hitting a pretty much a certain amount right in there, game by game. So that's got to be pleasing to a coach to be able to get a consistent amount of points.
That's true, but the competition, we're not playing the Boston Celtics yet. You know what I mean, Ronnie? I mean, right. Truth be told, we've been way better than these teams, and it has a lot to do with putting up the type of numbers that we're putting up and turning them over. And I mean, I was at Beaver Falls, and I've never seen a Beaver Falls team like the one we played last Tuesday. Never. I mean, I almost felt bad for them. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel bad for Beaver Falls. I mean, it was just so one-sided. They had a hard time getting the ball across half court.
All right. Well, then the answer to the first takeaway will more than likely be your answer to the second takeaway, because the Newcastle defense is allowing pretty much consistent amount of points, 42, 52, 43, 17, and 59. You guys are playing really good defense. However, I'm sure you'll answer the takeaway number 2 with the same way you did takeaway number 1.
I think the game against North Hills was a better indicator of who we are offensively and defensively. Mm-hmm. Ralph again said today during our discussion, he's a little worried when we get into a night where we're not hitting those threes. And that's going to happen. And when that happens, we better be executing offensively. North Hills was a good basketball team. Hence, the score was closer. Hence, they put up almost 60 points on us. So, again, as we move forward and we're playing section games on somebody else's court and the competition gets stiffer, we're going to need to play a little better to maintain, our edge and our undefeated record.
Right. Okay. So that is our Newcastle Red Hurricane Minute with Larry Kelly. And now we're going to talk about some other teams around the county individually. And first off, this is kind of in relation to the Athlete of the Week, as we want to talk about the Wilmington boys basketball team. Larry, in between segments, we fished around a little bit and found out that Nick Marmo is in his 2nd season on the bench at Wilmington. Entering this season, Larry, did you know that the Greyhounds carried a 35-game losing streak into this season?
Wow. It's all about the players, Ronnie. It's all about, I've coached long enough to know. I've had undefeated seasons as a coach. And I've also had a couple seasons where I didn't win 5 games. I'm the same coach. And it's all about the players. When I was highly successful, it was all about the players. And when you don't have those kind of players, then a good coach will he may not win games or she may not win games, but he or she will do a good job in making that team better and more competitive as they move forward. I told you, Nick Marmo, he was a 5-star recruit, went to Penn State, played at a high level. He knows what it takes to win. And given the opportunity and the players to work with, he will win. Nick was at Mohawk. He didn't do real well. He's still the same coach that he was then, but it's all about the players. When they asked John Wooden, the greatest coach of all time, they said, Coach, if you had to pick one thing, just one thing that led to your success, what would it be? And his answer, I had the best players.
Hmm.
Good coaches win with good players. Bad coaches, they lose with good players. You give Nick Marmo good players, he's going to win.
Yeah, they snapped that long losing streak in the season opener, defeating Environmental Charter, which got us all scratching our heads and saying, who the hell's that and where are they from? That's a Pittsburgh school, if I remember correctly, and they beat them 47-43. That was a 50-50 type of game in terms of when you look at the final score, 47-43. It could have went either way. It was a close game. Environmental Charter hurt themselves with very poor free throw shooting, or that losing streak could have been extended. And their other two wins for Wilmington, as we mentioned in the Athlete of the Week, were 59-56 over Commodore Perry and the 53-36 win over Maplewood. And tomorrow night, Tuesday, they are at Portersville Christian. So good shot for Wilmington to go 4-0. And you'd have to really do some digging. I could do some digging in my files, find the last time Wilmington's boys basketball team was 4-0. So it's nice for them to get these wins early in the season, regardless of who they're playing. 4-0 is very nice and good momentum for the team.
Nothing succeeds like success. You got to get the players to believe. I mean, as a coach, that was one of the biggest things I always tried to do, was get our players to believe that they could win. And, if you believe you can, you will. And nothing succeeds like success. So they're off to a good start.
Okay, next up we have the Neshannock boys basketball team, and the Lancers are 4-0. Again, this is being filmed Monday night, so if you're watching it Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever, these records won't obviously stay true, as boys games are Tuesday. But Neshannock 4-0. Here's their ledger: 58-39 over Howland from Ohio, 64-38 over Mohawk, and then you got some two straight grinded out type of games: 49-42 over Our Lady of the Sacred Heart and 46-43 over Poland from Ohio. So the Lancers are proving that they can score, and they're also proving that they can play, I don't know if you'd want to call it slow down basketball, but good defensive effort type of basketball and finding ways to win type of games.
Two nice wins, those last two. They played Poland, they beat them on the road. And Tony Parada is an all-conference football player, offensive and defensive lineman. And I saw that he was player of the game like 2 games in a row. He's a tough kid. And, he does a lot of the dirty work, gets what we used to call the garbage points, rebounds the basketball, defends. You need guys like that on your team if you're going to win. You just need those kind of guys. Those guys that just, they own the paint. They rebound, they get offensive rebounds, put them back in, do all the dirty work. So, yeah, Neshannock's on a nice run. And beating Mohawk by 20-some points, I don't care. Mohawk is good. And to do that is impressive. So they're off to a really great start. John Corey, I saw, got his 300th win. Not many coaches walking around with 300 wins, because not many coaches last that long anymore in the profession. If you're really good, you got to be around 15, 20 years to get 300 wins. 20 wins a season in 15 years. That's a long time, and most of these guys have been around a little longer than that. It's impressive. Congratulations to him. He knows what he's doing, and congratulations to the Neshannock Lancers.
Yeah, and Cody Pattison, our sports writer here at the News, told me an interesting story after that game that John Corey picked up his 300th career win. The opposing coach congratulated John Corey and mentioned to him that I believe John Corey's first career win was also against that same coach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
they've both been around a long time.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen too much anymore for a lot of reasons. It doesn't happen too much anymore that coaches stick around 20, 25 years. That's a lifetime in the coaching profession.
Yeah, absolutely. And lastly, another team we want to spotlight is the Neshannock girls basketball team. Lady Lancers are 4-1 on the season, and here's their score by score. Opened the season with a 50-10 win over Portersville Christian, followed up by an overtime win over Lakeview, 65-58, and that's a very nice win because Lakeview's got a pretty nice basketball team in District 10. Then they got a 53-46 win over General McLean, followed up by a 66-40 win over Quaker Valley. Their lone loss is a 56-42 decision against Seneca Valley.
Now, Seneca Valley's a 6A team. So, I mean, there's no shame in that. And talking about coaches, Luann, 40 years, 700 wins. Oh, my God. God bless her.
Yeah.
That is literally a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've played some quality opponents there, too. Again, Lakeview, talented District 10 team, as you mentioned, Seneca Valley, a team that's above them in classification, maybe not just a step, but several steps above them in classification. I believe Neshannock is what, 3A, 2A, somewhere
Something
around?
like that. I know Seneca Valley, 6A, though. I know that. Well, at least in boys hoops. I don't know if they're 6A in girls. It wouldn't surprise me if they are, though. They're one of the largest school districts in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Quaker Valley's probably above Neshannock in
Yeah.
terms of classification. So they've had a really rigorous schedule, and their next game on the court, Neshannock, is against Laurel on Thursday night, and they will be facing Ricky Larocco and the Lady Spartans. And Ricky used to coach Shenango, and he coached Shenango to a WPIL title.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So, again, that should be a good game. Where's that game being played?
I want to say it's going to be at Neshannock, but I don't have it written down.
Hard to win in somebody else's gym. It's the one sport that home court advantage means something. I'm not so sure it's a big deal in football. It really isn't a big deal in baseball. But in hoops, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and our tab will be coming out on Wednesday. And if I remember correctly, I don't believe Neshannock has any seniors on the team. So you're going to notice that they're awfully good, and get used to it, because you're going to see them again next year.
It's commitment, as I told you. These young women all play AAU basketball in the summer, and Luann coaches them. She coaches the junior high program, 7th and 8th grade, that play in the fall. And then she coaches the varsity team. So if you're not willing to spend 10 months a year in your sport, it's going to be very difficult to be a champion. That's what it's all about, that commitment. And not everybody's willing to make it. Not everybody's willing to pay that price.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, Larry, any parting words for us as our show winds down?
I'm excited about hoop season, and these games as we go forward. I love section games. I love tri-county section games because those rivalries go back a long way. And Newcastle, the Red Hurricane, we're going to get tested here moving forward, because the schedule doesn't get easier. And the first test will be tomorrow at Woodland Hills.
How difficult of a time is this for coaches? Because the first part of the season, you're playing some non-league opponents, in some cases outside of the state, out of state opponents. Now you're finally getting your feet wet with conference games, and then you got the holidays, and you're playing holiday tournaments. So there's hiccups going around here.
Yeah. That Christmas break was always a time to reset and kind of get your team better, because you have a lot of time to practice, and you have you're playing games, but they're not section games. Section games are tough because normally you've seen these teams for years. And Newcastle's been a little different because they moved us around. But you see these teams twice a year, and you've seen them for years, maybe in the same section 5, 6, 10 years in a row. You know each other. Coaches don't change much. We still run the same stuff at Newcastle that we ran in 2010 when we started. Ralph and I and Jason and everybody else at Newcastle still run the same defenses, still run the same offenses. We added a few sets, but our go-tos are still the same. And sometimes it just amazes me. We run a play called Lobo against man-to-man defense. The first play in every game, and we still shoot a layup. It's unbelievable. These teams haven't figured it out. But that's because they don't spend the time in studying the film like Coach Belundo and Jason Dunalack and Billy Humphrey and the other members of the staff have done for years and years. So But yeah, it's once you're seeing teams year in and year out and twice a year, it gets a little tougher. It certainly does.
Ralph, if you're upset that Larry's giving away too many secrets, text Larry. That's all him.
It's no secret. It's just no secret. It just amazes me. We shoot a layup every time because it's one of our favorite plays and we execute it really well. And but still, I just laugh sometimes.
All right. Well, very good. As I mentioned previously, our basketball tab comes out on Wednesday, December 18th. It's a special section in our Wednesday newspaper. It chronicles all 8 schools, boys and girls previews. It'll have team photos that were submitted by Clark Studio. So we thank Clark Studio for that, being able to use those. And there'll be rosters in there. Joe Sager and Cody Pattison contributed to the stories. I typed the rosters and laid out the entire presentation of the tab. So again, that is Wednesday, December 18th. So you want to make sure you go out and get a copy of that. 20 pages chock full of high school basketball.
You guys do a great job. That edition of the Newcastle News is something special every year, and it's really a keepsake for parents, grandparents, players, families. You do a great job.
Yeah, and we will also have a cover story, and that is going in the regular edition of Wednesday's paper because, well, 20 pages, we didn't have anywhere to put the covers. Credits for the tab in the tab, so that's the regular paper as well. So, Larry, anything else you got to say?
That's it, my man. Thank you. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to chatting with you next week, my brother.
Well, as we sit here on Monday, December 16th, I wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because you can sit here, Larry, and talk all you want. We're dark until the week of January 6th.
Come on. You mean we're not going to do a show next week?
No, we're not going to do a show next. You can have at it. Turn on your camera and record all you want.
Well, maybe me and Sirianni will do one next week. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot to report. We got 2 section games this week.
It's doing a show next week is heavily juiced to the no. I'm going to tell you.
All right. Well, we're dark until after the first of the year. Merry Christmas, Ronnie. I hope you have a good one, my brother.
Larry, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy New Year. Be safe, everybody. We want to see you right back here the week of January 6th. Be safe, everybody.
All right, broski. Sounds good. Yep. I don't even know. Who do we have Friday? Newcastle. I should know this, but I don't.